Welcome back to my channel. I'm James. Today we're going to be taking a trip down memory lane, back to the 80s. And we're going to be doing something kind of unique here today. We're going to be touching on a bunch of 80s movies that are really in desperate need of 4K Ultra HD restorations, new 4K scans on 4K Ultra HD. Now, these are some of the most wanted, some of my favorites of kind of some hidden titles, some big titles that I'm sure a lot of you can expect, but I'm sure there's a lot of these that maybe you've forgotten about or that are surprises, that are things that I think we might see some of these coming out on 4K Ultra HD, and some of these I don't know that we're going to. And I'll kind of discuss them as we're going through, and just kind of a fun time here going through a lot of these great 80s movies, remembering them, and talking about some of these that I do know about that are kind of hidden surprises that are going to be coming out on 4K Ultra HD. Now, when you get done watching this video, make sure to comment below with some of the titles you're excited about or hoping that they release on 4K Ultra HD as well from the 80s. Now, for this video, I specifically stuck to 1980 to 1989. So anything that was 1990 or even something that was 1979 did not qualify. So make sure when you're commenting below, make sure your titles fit in that time period. Just for a fun little thing, that's what I had to stick to. And I will tell you, I had a difficult time, and here's why. I didn't realize how many movies came out in 1990 that I absolutely loved. But anyhow, I stuck to all of these and went through to make sure every single one of these fell in that time period of 1980 to 1989 only. And a lot of these would look really good if they were done correctly with a brand new 4K scan on 4K Ultra HD. One of the first ones that I want to see released on 4K Ultra HD that would really benefit from it is the sci-fi classic from 1989, Leviathan. And a lot of people always classified this as kind of an Aliens knockoff. I never felt that way. It stands on its own as a really good sci-fi movie, and I've really always enjoyed this. And George P. Cosmatos has done a lot of 1980s action movies, such as Cobra with Sylvester Stallone. This is another one that I really want to see that's from 1980 that I want to see released on 4K Ultra HD. Both of these are great 80s like sci-fi action classics that really deserve to be on 4K Ultra HD. Now, I will tell you, I do believe Leviathan we will see coming up in the next year or two on 4K Ultra HD. I have not heard anything about Cobra because this is actually owned by Warner Brothers and was only licensed out to Shout Factory for this release. Whereas Leviathan, it is something that MGM is licensing out. So I do see a studio picking this up and doing a 4K Ultra HD of this here in the near future. So that would be exciting. Another great 1987 movie is Adventures in Babysitting, and this is one of those really good Chris Columbus directed, just kind of comedy adventure films that was really a good and well done 80s film. I've always really enjoyed this one, but this one is in desperate need. It's a very soft Blu-ray. It would look great if done correctly for a new 4K Ultra HD. Though I do have some bad news about this. This title is actually owned by Disney, so the likelihood of us seeing a 4K Ultra HD of this release is not very likely. So, as always with any of these, I'll try to list out as many of these on Blu-ray that's available down in the description section as a pinned comment and in the comment section below. Those will be the Amazon links that take you straight out there. So if you want to buy any of these, even though they're on Blu-ray, I will have all of these listed down below, as many of these as I can find. That way, if you want to buy any of them, you click on that, it takes you straight out to buy your copy. Now, one of my most requested titles is obviously Aliens. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I actually want all of the Alien films on 4K Ultra HD. So I know that doesn't really qualify, but Aliens is one of them from the 80s that I desperately want, especially since we got Alien on 4K Ultra HD. But this is another one that they're owned now, obviously, by Disney. So again, the likelihood of this, I'm not holding my breath. And if we see it, I would be amazed if we ever get Aliens because of James Cameron being involved and how notoriously horrible his releases take to come out on either 4K Ultra HD or, I mean, even some of them on Blu-ray. I mean, look at You, The Abyss, and True Lies. I mean, they've announced that coming out like the last 10 years saying, oh, it's going to be on Blu-ray. Now all of a sudden it's supposedly going to be on 4K in 2023. I'll believe it when I see it because I believe James Cameron, I mean, he just doesn't do that many things with physical media, and I don't know, because Disney owns it, it just seems like all of those are just It's a long shot, but it'd be great to get the rest of these because I'd love to have a box set with all of them on 4K Ultra HD. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit here again. I want all of the James Bond films. Now these are the ones from the 80s, and there are some others, but anyhow, these are the ones from the 80s that I really want. I want all of the James Bond, even though the James Bond kind of vary in quality. I really feel like they would do an outstanding job with these if done correctly for 4K Ultra HD, and I'll have a huge James Bond collection on 4K Ultra HD. Would be really exciting to have all the classic Bond movies. Man, that would be a great release. Now, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to go down and give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. Just like with this video and hundreds of other videos that I've done exclusively here on my YouTube channel, I do a lot of early reviews of things that are sent to me from studios, early to test, analyze, and review. I do a lot of my exclusive 4K versus Blu-ray image comparisons, and then I do a lot of just fun videos like this to kind of give you something entertaining and exciting every single week to come back to and enjoy about physical media, movies, TV series. So no matter where you live worldwide, you're not going to want to miss out on any of this content. So make sure to go down there, give this video a like and a thumbs up for me, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. Another title that would be an amazing release if done by Scream Factory in one of these really nice box sets would be Creepshow from 1982. Now I am a huge George A. Romero fan. I really like a lot of Stephen King stuff. And this box set I really loved. I love the box set, how it was released with the book and all that. This is my collector set that I didn't open, but I absolutely loved this release. Imagine this on 4K Ultra HD. If done correctly, and Shout Factory did a great job like they did with the Paranorman and Coraline, which if you have not checked out that review yet, it's available right now on my YouTube channel. Those are reference quality releases. Coraline and Paranorman are literally knock your socks off reference quality releases that I reviewed a little bit before the release dates. And you'll want to check out that review because those are outstanding 4K Ultra HD releases. Well, imagine if they took that quality of work and did like Creepshow. Man, that would be great. But talking about another Shout Factory release, I would love to see Day of the Dead from Scream and Shout Factory, another George A. Romero classic on 4K Ultra HD. I love zombie movies. As a lot of you know, I'm a huge zombie nerd. Love all those zombie films. This would be great on 4K Ultra HD, and so would this. And like I said, if they did a great restoration with these could be stellar 4K Ultra HD releases. One of my favorite comedies from 1988 is Steve Martin and Michael Caine's Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I love the film. I've seen it so many times. There's so many quotable lines in it. It's a hilarious 1980s comedy that really has a great twist in it that no matter how many times I see it, it's just so well done and so enjoyable. This would be one of those really great comedy 4K Ultra HD releases. Now, as far as this one goes, this one is being licensed out by MGM. MGM has been licensing out a lot of their catalog releases for 4K Ultra HD restorations and releases. So this is another one of those titles I do see us getting here in the next few years on 4K Ultra HD, which I'd be hugely excited for, especially if done correctly, because Dirty Rotten Scoundrels desperately deserves a 4K Ultra HD release. Another 1985 sci-fi classic, Enemy Mine. This is a Wolfgang Petersen film. It has Dennis Quaid in it. It also has Louis Gossett Jr. in it. And it is one of those enduring sci-fi classics from 1985. And if you haven't seen this film, I recommend getting this if you can find it. It is very, very difficult to find. It's only had very limited and very brief Blu-ray releases everywhere around the world. Most of them sold out and they are very difficult to find and very expensive to own. But this is one of those films that I really love, and because it's a sci-fi from the 80s, I would love if this got released on 4K. Make sure if any of these you're excited about and you've forgotten about or that you love as well, make sure to start that conversation down there below because I love to hear about when you're excited about these releases as much as I am. Another one that's a big 80s action comedy series that I love is Lethal Weapon. Now, I do have a little bit of a hidden tidbit. I have heard from industry insiders and my contacts, you know how Warner Brothers is having their 100th anniversary this year, 100 years of films. I have heard that this is one of those that they're going to be releasing on 4K Ultra HD in this coming year that we're in. So I do think we will see this year. Now, how many of the films? That I'm not 100% sure on. The only one I've actually heard about that they've worked on or have been working on is Lethal Weapon. The rest of these, I haven't heard any, like even whisperings if they're going to release them in a box set like 2, 3, and 4, or if they're going to do just one and then maybe next year do another one. That I'm not sure about, but I did hear Lethal Weapon was one of those that was being considered for this 100th anniversary. So that would be a really exciting 4K Ultra HD release because these are some really great comedy action classics from the 80s. Switching gears here for a minute, we're going to romantic comedies here. This is When Harry Met Sally. I mean, it is really one of those Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, just comedy classics that I don't care if you're a guy or you're a girl. If you haven't seen When Harry Met Sally, you're missing out on a really great piece of filmmaking that's comedic gold, and it just really holds up well as time goes on and is one of those endearing 80s movies that no matter how many times my wife and I watch this, we enjoy it every time. Now this is an MGM release. Now this is one of those they're licensing out. So this is another one that I could see very likely coming out on 4K Ultra HD here very soon in the near future. My guess is we're going to see more of these types of MGM releases coming out over the next year or two because of how much of their catalog they're licensing out. So this would be a really fun one on 4K Ultra HD. One of my all-time favorite 1984 sci-fi classic movies is The Last Starfighter. This is just a great film. Now, this is the Arrow video release, and I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you, we haven't gotten announcements sooner than now about this on 4K Ultra HD. I do think this is coming from Arrow Video, and I do think it's coming very soon from Arrow Video. They did a new 4K scan of the original camera negatives, so a lot of the work has already been done. I think they're just going to go back in and touch it up and do some things, like I said, with the Dolby Vision, HDR, things like that. But I do really see this coming out in the next year. I really think we're going to get this from Arrow Video. So this is one of those that'll be a good release, hopefully, from Arrow Video. Hopefully no disc issues. If they did announce this, I would hopefully be doing a review on this channel of this release if they did announce it. But it's one of those that Arrow Video's handled a more rocky start the last couple of years. They've kind of taken a break from releasing things. So it's kind of one of those things that maybe they're working on this behind the scenes, and we'll see this here coming out the next year. One of my all-time favorite baseball comedies from 1989. You can't go wrong with Major League. Now, I did like the other films in the series, and I have those on Blu-ray, but they were lowering quality as they went on. The first one is still my all-time favorite of those baseball comedies. My wife and I watch this all of the time. Willie Mays Hayes, I mean, you can't go wrong with this film. I really feel like it was one of those perfect baseball comedies. I love the humor in it, the style of it. It's so 80s. It exudes 80s goodness. This one deserves a 4K. And another James Cameron classic movie that I really had a hard time including a lot of these James Cameron movies in here. When I was condensing things down from the almost 300 titles I'd picked out, I had a hard time including any of his because I know that his stuff is just, I mean, it's just literally we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and he just doesn't really care that much. But the Terminator so deserves a proper 4K Ultra HD release. It is a great sci-fi movie. Schwarzenegger's outstanding in it. Linda Hamilton's great in it. The feeling behind the original Terminator movies, Terminator 1, 2, and I even liked Rise of the Machines a lot. And a lot of people gave that a really hard time, but I actually really felt like it felt in the universe, and it did a good job. Well, this one is one of those that desperately needs a 4K Ultra HD release. The Blu-ray's okay. But again, I don't know, because James Cameron holds on to these things so tightly and barely does anything on them. I don't know if this is all we're ever going to get, but I would love to see this on 4K Ultra HD. Now, if you've followed my channel for a while, you know I absolutely love Flight of the Navigator from 1986. It is one of my all-time favorite Disney movies. I watched this over and over and over growing up. Now, I have done the review on this YouTube channel of this 4K scan on Blu-ray. And Second Sight released the only version of Flight of the Navigator that has the correct color grading, and it was done with a brand new 4K scan, so they've done a lot of the work already. My problem is Disney owns the rights for this, and I know it was a limited release that they did of this Blu-ray. Disney released it on Blu-ray in the US with the incorrect color grading. It has the incorrect scenes throughout it. It has the incorrect framing on the Blu-ray that was released in the US from Disney on their movie club. This is the only one that has the correct aspect ratio, the correct color grading. So I really feel like Second Sight should be the one to release it, but because it's Disney involved, I don't know that we're going to see this, and I don't know if this is the best we're ever going to get, but this is the only version of Flight of the Navigator that I recommend you watching, because the one that was released on Disney Movie Club, it's incorrect in so many areas. The scenes are incorrect. The original director was involved in this one, and he even stated that the one on Disney Movie Club has so many things wrong on it that were done incorrectly. This is the only way to watch it. Man, I would love this on an actual full 4K Ultra HD with Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. That would be a real treat. Keeping on the Disney theme here just for a minute, I've talked about this before, but Tron needs a 4K. But again, it's Disney, so the likelihood of us getting it's pretty slim. But Tron and the sequel, man, would look outstanding. And then even include like Tron Uprising, the short TV series, throw that all together in like a 3-bundle box set of 4K Ultra HD, and that'd be one cool and hopefully reference quality, because they could do like Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision, HDR10 Plus, make it really outstanding looking, especially with those lights to darks on Tron. Man, that would look outstanding, especially on like those LG OLEDs, like my LG OLED G2. I can only imagine how good Tron would look with some really good HDR on it. But those are a wish list that I'm afraid is something we're wishing for that might never happen. Touching on some cheesy 80s goodness, we've got Masters of the Universe. I do like this film. It is not perfect in any shape or form. And a lot of you might give me a hard time because you say, hey, this was not a great interpretation of Masters of the Universe. Yes, but it's got its charms because I grew up watching this film and watched it all through my teenage years and things like that and really enjoyed it. So it is one of those things that I would like to see this on 4K Ultra HD with a new 4K restoration, and if they could get a hold of and do like the director's cut of this with some of those deleted and extended scenes and release it with kind of more of what was intended to be in it, this could be a pretty darn cool 4K Ultra HD release. Like if Arrow Video got a hold of it and did like a director's cut with added scenes back in, that could be pretty cool on 4K. Another stone cold 1989 classic that I love is Tango Cash with Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell. If you have not checked out this film, it is a great 80s action movie. I love the camaraderie between the two of them and how they play off of each other. Stallone was right in the height of his career. Kurt Russell was getting into his action phase. This film is one of those that I absolutely love, and I'm really hoping, because this is owned by Warner Brothers, that this is one of those titles we're going to get here during their 100th anniversary. Now, this one I have not heard rumblings about from anybody at Warner Brothers, but it is one I secretly hope that does come out, and when I make these videos, I always know studios will watch my videos about things I recommend or reviews or things that I want to come out, so hopefully Warner Brothers is watching this, and maybe they'll pick some of these titles that I'm talking about to consider for releases that maybe they didn't consider. This is one of those from the 80s that I really want on 4K Ultra HD. John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China, continuing with Kurt Russell, 1986 film. This one really needs a 4K Ultra HD. But because of the rights of this one, I think it's going to be a complicated issue. And I don't really know that we're going to see this. Now, this is my collector's steelbook. I always like to get some of these like classics that I love on these steelbooks. Shout Factory, Scream Factory did a great job with this release. It's been sold out for a long time and it's not available. But on this release, it would have been great to get a 4K Ultra HD release of this. But 20th Century Fox, which is owned by Disney, has this, so the rights of this are very complicated. Now, you know we can't touch on the 80s without talking Tom Hanks. He really was kind of one of those kings of the 80s in film-wise. So I'm going to touch on some of these that I really want to see. We've got the Burbs with Tom Hanks. This one really needs a 4K. And Universal Studios owns the rights to this, so there is likelihood that we'll see this because Universal has been doing more and more of their catalog releases. They've licensed out more of their catalog releases for 4Ks. So this is one of those that I do see. Maybe Turbine will pick this up. You know, if you haven't checked out my Frighteners 4K Ultra HD release, I got that in about 2 to 3 weeks before the release date. Turbine sent that for review. And that was a really great release that they did on 4K Ultra HD. It's a reference quality, Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision release. Man, it was a great job. It'd be great if they got a hold of something like The Burbs, kind of this cult classic, and did a great 4K release with this. That would be really cool as well. Another 80s classic with Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd is Dragnet. Now, this is the remake of basically kind of spoofing Dragnet in a sense on this film, but it was funny. It's a great cult classic. Universal owns the rights to this, so again, this one's a likely one that we would see because they are licensing these out and doing some of them themselves. So this one I could see us getting on 4K Ultra HD as well in the next couple of years. A classic Tom Hanks big that really should get a 4K that I don't think we're going to get is because it's owned by Disney now. 20th Century Fox owns this, which is now owned by Disney. So I don't really see us getting this one, but this one would have been cool to get, but this is kind of one I don't see. But one I do see us getting is the Money Pit. I absolutely love the Money Pit. Tom Hanks, it's presented by Steven Spielberg. He did a lot of these where he was like the executive producer on things like that. This is such a funny comedy in it, and I don't know if a lot of you remember the actress that's in it, Shelley Long. She was really good in the time period. She did a lot of things like Troop Beverly Hills. I love that film, but I really liked her and Tom Hanks in this together, and this is a really good movie. Can't talk 80s without talking John Hughes. Uncle Buck. This is owned by Universal. I can see this getting a 4K Ultra HD release, but John Hughes is one of those kings of the 80s. And this is one of those that really needs to be on 4K because John Candy was great in it, and it had such a good feel behind it. I mean, Macaulay Culkin was in it, and so many other actors and actresses throughout it, but the story behind it and the feel behind it, and kind of how John Hughes would tie together that, like, kind of like it'd have humor, a little bit maybe slightly crass humor in some of it, and then it would kind of tie it together with a good, warm feeling at the end. That's what John Hughes was great with, and this one needs to be on 4K. Another Steven Spielberg presents a Joe Dante film, Inner Space. Now, I don't know if a lot of you remember this one. I've always really enjoyed this one. It had Meg Ryan in it, Dennis Quaid, Martin Short, and it's a really funny comedy sci-fi. And basically Dennis Quaid's character gets shrunk down and put inside basically Martin Short's character. And then it's kind of the comedic things that happen along the way. Meg Ryan's good in it. This is one of those 80s classics that would be a really cool 4K release. This is owned by Warner Brothers, and they're notoriously slow at their 4K releases. They do release them, but they're really slow at getting out their 4K catalog. So I think this one's kind of more of a hyper dream from a long time out that maybe years later we might see, but I think it's pretty far out there. Another Steven Spielberg produced movie, Twilight Zone the movie. I really enjoyed this movie. It has some uneven pacing, but overall I think the movie's really good. Owned by Warner Brothers, so again, this is one that I think is going to be a ways out if we do see this. One I'm really surprised we have not seen on 4K Ultra HD yet is Short Circuit and Short Circuit 2. Because to be honest with you, the rights for these are easily accessible. The studio that owns them is literally almost giving them away for very low cost is my understanding, because numerous companies have released dozens of different Blu-ray releases of Short Circuit and Short Circuit 2. I really loved this film. It was one of those that I used to build robots and things like that, and I always used to reference the film and things like that, and I thought it was so great. You know, if you had Technic and things like that, or Connects, where you used to have like the motors and things, man, I used to build robots that looked like basically Johnny 5 from Short Circuit. But these really need to be on 4K, and I'm really kind of surprised we haven't gotten them yet from somebody like even Vinegar Syndrome or one of those studios, because of how easy the rights are to get of this film, it seems like. A 1980s Martin Scorsese classic, The Color of Money, with Paul Newman, Tom Cruise. Really good classic movie, though sadly the rights are owned by Disney. But this would have been a cool release on 4K Ultra HD with a lot of 80s charm behind it and a really good story. I mean, if you haven't checked out this movie, like I said, I'll post as many of these as I can down below in the description section and as a pinned comment in the comment section below with links. Now, obviously, these are all going to be the Blu-rays, but it is one of those films, if you haven't checked it out, it's a really good Tom Cruise movie, and Martin Scorsese did a great job with this film. Another 80s classic, John Carpenter's Starman. Now, this is one that I do see coming out on 4K Ultra HD very soon. Probably within the next year, I would see this coming out. But the studio that I think it's going to come out from is going to surprise you. I really think Sony's going to release this themselves. They've been dabbling and doing a lot more of these 80s classic movies, like if any of you have checked out Real Genius. I did that review earlier last year, and that was an absolutely stellar 4K Ultra HD release. If you want to check out any of these reviews that I'm talking about, they are available right now on my YouTube channel to check out. But that was a great 4K release of a title that I was really surprised Sony dived into. Well, this is one that I think that I could see coming from them. It is owned by Columbia Studios Sony, So I do think that this is something that I could see them diving into, especially with how popular John Carpenter's films have been lately. I mean, if you haven't checked out The Fog, I did the Fog review as well, a comparison between both versions of The Fog on 4K. That was a great 4K release that Shout Factory did as well of that one, but this is one that would be a cool 4K release. Some films I loved from the 80s that I watched over and over again, my parents loved them, is Crocodile, Dundee. Now this is the trilogy that's on Blu-ray. I do enjoy the Blu-rays, but they'd be really cool now that they've been doing a lot of these like Eddie Murphy classics on 4K. It'd be cool to get these because I always like these. The humor in them is really good. Paul Hogan's great in them. And I've always enjoyed these classic 80s movies, and I think that they would do a great job if Paramount didn't DNR it to release it on 4K. Another classic John Hughes 80s flick, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This is another one that I do see us getting here within the next year from Paramount Studios. Paramount's been doing a ton of 80s classic movies on 4K. This is one I do see us getting here within the next year. I don't see it going into the year after that. I think we're going to get this year because this is one of those that's easy for them to do on 4K because of how many releases they've done of this, constantly doing new scans. They really don't have too much work. I could see them having to do, if done correctly, do a new scan, basically do some touch up. Otherwise, this would be a great 4K. Touching on two cult classic movies that I do want on 4K, Night of the Creeps and Silver Bullet. Now, the Stephen King movie, I do see us getting, this is owned by Paramount Studios. But this is one they've licensed out numerous times before, so maybe Shout Factory will release this on 4K Ultra HD. We'll kind of have to see on that one. This is one that's owned by TriStar, Sony, Columbia. So this is one that's been licensed out that I don't see them releasing themselves. That basically Scream and Shout Factory have licensed out. And I could see this coming out on 4K because it really fits in Scream's like catalog of releases. Heck, both of these do. Both of these would make cool 4K Ultra HD releases and kind of add to that cult classic horror genre. More like kind of that just kind of easygoing horror that wasn't too intense. These kind of fit into that genre. That was a ton of titles, and I condensed that down from almost 300 titles, but there was so many in there that I wanted to kind of cover a wide genre of all different genres. Action, comedy, romance, romance comedy, sci-fi, horror, comedy horror, cult classics. I mean, all over the place. I wanted to cover sports comedies and just kind of get a different varying groups of all different films from the 80s to kind of give you some idea of some good films that some of them I see coming out, some of them I don't. But I hope this was a fun time for you and kind of just gave you something fun and entertaining to kind of take a trip back through memory lane. Make sure to comment down below and let me know what one of these you'd be excited for, what ones you're really hoping come out. If there's any other ones from the 80s, but remember, it needs to be from 1989 back to 1980. Nothing from 1990 or 1979. And it's a hard thing because there was a lot of them I thought were 80s that actually fell on 1990. So fall in that time period for this, just that way we stick in that. But this is just something fun I wanted to chat about. And I've been trying to incorporate more of these, just kind of having fun talking about physical media as well. I do enjoy doing the reviews and the analysis, but to be honest with you, I get burnt out after a while of constantly doing all the tech analysis and all of that, screenshots, taking the screenshots off of each and every disc. It's a lot of time consuming work and it does wear me down mentally and physically. So that's why I try to incorporate more of these kind of fun, having a good time chatting about movies, just more throughout time, so that way you get more different types of content here on my YouTube channel. Now, if you enjoy all of this and all the time and hard work I put into everything I create here, make sure to join my Collectors VIP Club. There's always exclusive videos and exclusive content, and that does help to support this YouTube channel. It only costs you a couple of bucks, basically less than the price of a cup of coffee, but that makes a drastic difference in the creation of all these videos and for me to keep creating all this content for you to watch. So make sure to join my Collectors VIP Club. You also get a really cool and unique Collectors VIP Club badge next to your name. So whenever you comment on my YouTube channel down below, you'll see your Collectors VIP Club badge next to your name, and that shows off to everybody that you are a Collectors VIP Club supporter of my YouTube channel. And then it also shows up on the main bar of my YouTube page, highlighting and thanking all of my members. You can also give a super thanks through the super thanks button on the super thanks button that's right below this video. It lets you click on that button and give a tip of any dollar amount that goes right back into the creation of these videos as well. And I just want to say thank you to all my Collectors VIP Club members. You truly do make a difference, and you're the reason I can continue to create all these videos, because I'm not sponsored and I'm not paid by anybody. So I just want to say thank you. If you decide you're going to buy any of these releases or any of these you don't have on Blu-ray and you want to pick them up, I'll try to post as many of these as I can in the description section and as a pinned comment in the comment section below. Those links will be listed down there below. Now, if you want to buy any of these, you can click on them. It takes you straight out to Amazon. Don't forget to give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. As always, I hope all of you truly have a blessed day, and I always have something new and very exciting coming out very soon.